Welcome to another podcast with NUFC 360. Now today we've got a special guest with us. 207 appearances with Newcastle United, 13 goals if I'm correct and remembering correctly. And he is one of our fan favourites, Warren Barton. Welcome, nice to have you with us.
Pleasure, I didn't realise it was 13. Lucky for some, 13. No, pleasure to be here. Obviously brought the weather with me. I'm living in California, but now it's raining here, so nice to be back to a bit of normality with the weather in the northeast. But yeah, just delighted to be back.
No, it's good to have you here. Obviously, yeah, the weather is a big change for you.
It's December. It's December.
But at least you get some Christmas feel with it. Let's just dive straight into it. So, obviously, there's been the game that's just passed now with Everton. Obviously, we've walked away with our first away win. What did you see different in that game to what you saw in the other away games you played?
Well, obviously you got off to a great start. I mean, when you score a goal within a minute, it settles a lot of nerves. And listen, when we was playing the entertainers, we had problems going down to London. We couldn't get results away from home. We could be okay maybe in the Midlands or Manchester, but we struggled, and it does play on the players' minds. You don't get off to a good start. Champions League has been great, but away from home, I think more, not necessarily the results have been poor, but also the performances. West Ham, Brentford really come to mind. But I think there was a real determination. I think as players do in this part of the world, they hear the noise, they hear what's going on. I was lucky enough to be with Eddie Howe before that with a dinner, an event that we had with the foundation, and he even spoke about it then. So it's on his mind and he's thinking about it. But it was a good start. But once they got the goal, there was a lot more confidence. I think also the two fullbacks coming in, the two young players, gives us that balance on that left-hand side, allows Big Dan Burns to slide into his favoured position, where I think that as a centre-half. But when the game went on, I just felt there was a real stability in the performance.
Yeah. Goalkeeper
change, that's a big call as well. So there was big moments, but that's why we've got a big squad. We've got a lot of games coming thick and fast. It was important, and he just as Eddie does, he got the right balance of what he needed. Nice to get goals from set pieces. I think that's another avenue.
Positive,
another avenue now that we need to rely on as well. Like a lot of clubs do in the Premier League, it's become quite fashionable now. So there was lots of good things to build on, and then hopefully it carries it on. But I know how difficult it is to go away from home in the Premier League and West Ham, and as I said, but it was more the manner that we got beat rather than the scoreline. It was like we didn't really put up a fight. But it is hard when you're playing Champions League football, a big game against Benfica, and then you go and play at Brentford, or you're playing at home against Barcelona, then you have to go and have another game against Brentford. So it is difficult, but we have got a squad that's more than capable of dealing with that.
We touched on one of the points there, and I think obviously the goalkeeper change, Eddie said, was a forced change anyway because Pope was injured. But do you think that change might have happened even if he wasn't injured?
There was rumours. I think Eddie, though, is very loyal to his players. I mean, you've seen that when he has a starting 11 going out. And look, Nick made one mistake, the poor clearance. But other than that, he's been phenomenal this season. He's got himself back in the England squad. Unfortunately, got injured. So he is carrying a bit of an injury. He was actually here at that foundation dinner and was giving out awards to young kids. So, the goalkeeper situation is, there is a number one, but there's a very good number two as well.
Yeah, there is,
come along, which is, I had that with Shay Given and Steve Harper. I had that with Shaka Hislop and Pavel Cernacek, two top-class goalkeepers vying for a position. So in the 7 years, 8 seasons I was here, we had healthy competition for places there. Couple in between weren't really healthy competition, but Harps and Shay definitely comes to mind, and Shaka and obviously Pavel.
Brilliant. No, I agree 100% on that. I think the change is probably going to happen on a personal. I respect Eddie on all of his points of views and the way he works, and obviously us as football fans, we always sometimes think we could do a better job. We look at it from the outside, won't deny that.
Listen, I've been retired 15 years and I do media in America, Fox. I haven't had a bad game in 15 years, and believe me, out them 200 odd games I played with Newcastle, there was a few bad ones. But
it's funny you say that because I was always watching Fox when I was in Mexico, so I know.
Okay. Right.
So Tino and Hall coming into the team, that's where I think the biggest improvement. Obviously, we were missing them.
It's funny as well. Sorry to jump in. It's funny how injuries help managers at certain times, and we've had it at our time where someone's been waiting to get in and they get a little injury, and then, like you said, Pope gets injured, Ramsdale comes in, Kieran's got a bit of a hamstring strain, he's out, Tino comes
straight back in, yeah.
And, you know, it gives you that balance. And for me, Tino, after that cup final, we won the cup final, that performance, again, I spoke to Eddie about that and said, what made you do that? And he just said, I had a gut feeling, and the kid is a player. And he's shown that. He could be in England, them two could be England fullbacks for the next decade. Not only at Newcastle, 100%. But also at England as well.
I think Hall's been showing some very impressive performances. He's not just that, he's running off the ball, he's passing and moving. And also, which you don't see very much from defenders, is his close control and turning.
What are you trying to say about defenders? Be careful what you're saying. But
well, that leads me straight on to my next question. Where would you rate them two when it came to yourself when you were playing back in the day?
I had this conversation a few times. Kieran Trippier, we talk about the entertainers against the team that won. You know, for me, the only one possibly, Tonali's another one with maybe in that midfield, because I think the others are all stonewalled. Like, no one's getting in front of Ginola, no one's getting in front of Les, no one's getting in front of Beardsley, Keith Gillespie. But Kieran's a good player. I'm not too ashamed. I think he's a better player than me because he's can free kicks, he's a little bit quicker, he's got 50 caps for England, etc., etc. Tino, the potential is to be above us two.
Yeah.
So I think he's got the balance to do that. The thing that he has to do sometimes when he's playing left back, he's got to trust his left foot. He's got to try and cross that ball. Hall is another talented player. Bez was really good in the final third with the end product, picking people out, good one-on-one defenders. Don't forget, Hall's never really been a starter in the team. It was only last season that he really got in. It didn't happen at other previous clubs, and the expectations now is high. So that's giving him a little bit of time to grow and develop. But when you look at him and the team and the way we play, it suits him. He's on the front foot, he likes to be aggressive, he wants to get forward, and he knows the big fella behind him is going to look after him if he does go forward.
Well, I think that's one of the things with Eddie, like you're saying with Hall there, is when a new player comes in, Eddie doesn't tend to throw them straight into the mix. No. He does like to give them on the bench, and I think Malik Chow made a comment about that last week where he enjoyed that because he got a feel of the environment, he got a feel of what's happening around him before he got put onto the pitch.
He did it with Bruno. You know, we're all chumping at. You've just spent big money for Bruno to come in, playing. But when you come from the Premier League is unique. You know that. Yeah. When you watch it in Liga MX, I watch it MLS, watch other leagues, Bundesliga. You know, whatever leagues there is all over the world. It's a unique league, and when you come from an academy or an under-21 team, or you've not been playing regular, it's very difficult to be thrown in and expect to play 35 games, 40 games. No, again, not reminiscing too much, but when I was in the team and Rob Lee, we gradually, and Alan Shearer, Gary Speed and all the other players, allowed Bellamy, Dyer, Genius, Aaron Hughes to slowly, surely get to 15 games a season, 25 games a season, because it ain't easy playing it for this club.
No,
if it was, everyone would be doing it, because you've got a certain responsibility and a certain standard to do that. And Eddie understands that one, the Premier League is different than any other league, but also when you put a black and white shirt on, it ain't okay just to be average. It ain't okay. You've got to give everything you've got. Yeah. And for a young player or a foreign player coming into a demanding league, all of a sudden you hit 3 or 4 games and you're like, wow, what's going on now? This is like relentless, because it's not forgiving the league.
Well, the pressure now as well, they've got social media on the back as well. Like back when you were playing, that wasn't a thing.
No, thankfully it wasn't. Right. Mind you, I did say to Big Dan Burns, because he said about social, I said, but don't look at it. It's quite easy, don't look at your phone. I know it's part of the modern game and you have to, you know, engage with people, but if you've had a bad game, I weren't going in the town centre down the quayside if I'd had a bad. I stayed at home, and the same with just turn it off for a couple of days. Yeah. They'll pick on someone else.
I think Dan Burns is a good example. I think he only just restarted his Instagram in this season actually. I think
because he started playing well.
Yeah, he started
playing well. You start looking at it. It's amazing. We had it with the Chronicle and the Pink. If I'd had a good game, I'd go and get the Chronicle I've had, and I'd walk straight past it. So it's no different there. It's no different nowadays.
So. Who is your current favourite player in the Newcastle squad? Who do you think really stands out for you?
Well, I had the pleasure of meeting Kieran Trippier the other day, and I think I've always liked him as a player, and because we've got a right-back connection and things like that. But Murphy for me, I think he epitomises what Eddie's done to this club. He's got someone that was on the floor and made him into an assist king and made him a player that the fans love, and he plays with a smile on his face, and the fans can relate to that. Because he's one of them. He's a Newcastle fan. He's so privileged and happy to be part of that. So I've not had pleasure of meeting him yet, but if I do, I'm going to give him a big kiss on the cheek because I just love everything about him. I think he's learnt from Eddie. He understands from it. When he comes on, he runs and gives his heart and soul. Is he the best player in the world? It was touching that he could have got in the England squad. But I tell you what, every club needs someone like him. I wasn't the best player in the world. There's lots of players that want. But when the manager like Sir Bobby says to me, I know what I'm going to get out of you, and that's good enough for me, and that's the same with Murphy, that's a dream. That's a manager's dream. So have that said to you, I know what I'm going to get. Shearer, you're going to get 25, 30 goals. When you've got that, I mean, I won't Alan Shearer, but what I'm saying is when you've got, you know what you're going to get, that's a big thing. And I think Murphy epitomises the last 4 years of this football club.
I agree. I think that's a very good, not the choice I was expecting actually. You caught me off guard with that one, but I 100% agree with everything that you just said. I love Murphy. I'll admit straight away I was probably one of the ones that did criticise him at the beginning, because he wasn't. I didn't think when the change was happening he was going to be the one to stay there.
No.
But his change and his performances, and I like it when someone proves me wrong.
Yeah, well look at Joe Linton, when Eddie come in.
Yeah.
I knew Joe Linton was a number 8 because I'd watched Hoffenheim play in the Bundesliga for 5 years. He's put him in there, he's now the destroyer. That 3 in midfield, when they're at it, are probably as good as any 3 in the Premier League.
I'd say they're one of the best in the Premier League.
You look at Fabian Schär, I think for 3 million, he's the closest I've seen to Rob Lee, pound to pound, the best signing this club's ever had, because he's listened to Eddie, he's simplified his game, and Eddie's given responsibilities of how to play. There's a system, there's a certain profile when you play at the back, when you play right back, when you play centre midfield, you know your job, and that's down to Eddie.
Yeah, I agree. I think Eddie's got a way of working which is really, really, really good. Have you been to the new training ground yet?
I haven't, no, I haven't.
What are your thoughts on a new stadium with all this talk about them doing a new stadium? Do you think it's something that we should look at? Or
I'm not sold that you've got to move location just to get the revenue. But if you keep it in the city centre, which it sounds like they're going to, and it generates more revenue, and like I've always said, the fans are the heart and soul of the football club, and the football club's the heart and soul of the city. We've got all that back now.
Yeah.
Now, if we get the stadium going and 60,000 people can come, I just had a guy bring me in, a taxi driver bring me in. There's a waiting list now. 5 years ago, you couldn't give a ticket away. Now there's a waiting list for tickets, like there was with us. There was a 10,000 waiting list, and there was 5,000-6,000 people waiting outside the shop to get the new replica. That's happening again.
Yeah.
This club will always generate excitement and passion and tradition. And by going to a new stadium, if we are saying we're going to move to the airport, I would be against it. But what I like is when you come off the A1 or you're in the train, you see the stadium. It's the first thing you see, and I think that's why it makes it special, as well as lots of other things, a special football club, because it's the first thing you see when you come in the city.
No, I agree, and I think there's been images flying around of the finishing model of St James Park, obviously that's behind us at the moment, of them carrying on the same structure and just making it a little bit bigger, giving it a San Siro sort of feel.
And again, the fans pay a lot of money, and you want to have better refreshment, you want to have better toilet. There's lots of things that you can. There's only so much, like when you buy a house, there's only so much you can renovate.
You do.
And then you have to then say, I want an extension. Then you've got to maybe move. So I'm not anti, but I don't want it to be plunked in the middle of nowhere, and it's called. I got in trouble when I was at Fox because I couldn't. It's St James's Park. It's not. I can't even say it now. So it's not the arena or whatever it is. It's St James's Park. So as long as they keep that as well, I think that's a big part of it.
That was a big part when we got through that phase of name changing. Yeah, it was a bit of a tough one. That. Obviously, Eddie's got a strong squad at the moment. We're coming close to the window. January is just around the corner. If there was someone that you see out there that you think could fit into this squad and Eddie could go and sign, who would you want to bring into the club?
Well, don't forget, we've still got a record signing that yet to go on the field.
Yeah, so we've still got to get him out there.
I know you've always got to build, but I always feel a little bit in January. We've got the World Cup coming up next summer. There's going to be a lot of players. It's a bigger World Cup. It's in America as well, so there'll be a lot of eyes on it. I wouldn't rush into anywhere now and buy it. I like Kudos, who went from West Ham. He was one I liked. I thought he would maybe be a player that we would go for, but obviously he's gone to Tottenham. He's not going to move. I'm not desperate to go into the market. I know you always feel that you've got to go and strengthen, but like I said, the three in midfield are as good as anything when they're fit, and you've got two or three that are biting on the bit to try and
get in there. You've got Lewis Miley, who had a great performance against Everton.
Another one that's gone through a little bit of a difficult time, and then he was excellent against Everton. So yes, you always want to buy, but the real ones you really want, like when he waited for Botman, when he's waited for players, have normally been in the summer.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're in Champions League, they're playing at a high level. I think we've gone past just trying to, not scramble, but just go and get bodies in. I think now it's got to be, is he better than Gordon? Is he better than this player? Is he better than Livramento? No. Then you've got to start looking at that type of player.
Also, is it the right time in the middle of the season to? I've always been against the January window. In fairness, I like the fact that if we just had a window, kind of like what they do in the NFL, where it's just they have their window just when it's the off season. And that's it. I'm not a big fan. I always think you need a couple of windows, but you know, we needed it when the ownership took over in October. We needed energy and fresh blood. That was about getting people in through the door, just to make the change room, you know, alive and vibrant. You know, I remember when myself, Les, you know, David Ginola and Xhaka, you know, we come in the summer, you could just tell with the players that was already there that was doing a great job beforehand, like Rob Lee, Peter Beardsley, they was motivated by us four coming through the door, and then Tino comes in, then David Batty comes in, and that has a knock-on effect. But I'm not a big fan of just, we've got to go and buy. We've got the money, let's go and spend it. Let's sit tight. We've won a trophy. We're in a good round again in that competition. We've got the FA Cup coming up. We're in a great position in the Champions League. So let's just run with what we've got, unless someone out of the blue becomes available. Mbappe. But I always think that the World Cup's always a good gauge with that coming along. Starting to see some players start to shine. Well, that leads me straight on to my next question. Obviously, we've got the World Cup going over to the United States, Canada and Mexico. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'll be working. So, you know, I've been out there 17 years in America, in California, and I've worked with Fox since I was over there. So I did the Euros, I did the Qatar World Cup, I was involved in Brazil, I was at South Africa. So, yeah, I'll be out there working on the World Cup.
You got used to them saying soccer all the time.
Soccer, awesome. In the cage. But no, they're going to really put on a show. One thing the Americans can do is entertain and put a show on. Mexico as well, the Canadians, there's a real togetherness about what's coming along. And you know, the game has grown when David Beckham was there. It's obviously gone to another level with Messi and all the leagues and the influence of money being involved. And then the final thing will be the World Cup coming in there. Last time in '94, where I was in and around the squad, we didn't make it to America. So we took a lot of stick about that. So, you know, now we've got a great chance of winning it, if we're being honest.
I think it's going to be a very good competition. I think the only thing that is a factor, you could say, is the heat. But my experience of being abroad and being in Mexico, the heat it's bearable. Like, if you manage it right, it is bearable.
Yeah. It's, you know, again, it's a lot, but there's probably 3 or 4 favourites: Spain, France, Argentina, the winners. But they've got older. They've got older as well. Brazil, you always think it's a World Cup, it's going to be there. The Germans don't look a bad team as well. And then England are there. I mean, what a, you know, not conceding. Thomas Tuchel's won things. He's managed big things. So, you know, maybe he might be the one to build on what Gareth have done and get us over that finishing line. But we've said it's coming home for nearly 40 years, so we better be quiet for a little bit longer.
I think his approach with England, very quickly, just to move on to that, because as you touched on it, is he's a bit more, he's not scared of picking the players that are playing well, whereas I think before we picked a lot of players on their reputation and their name.
I think when you look at what Sven and Capello did with the Beckham and Nevilles and Scholes and Gerrard, Lampard, they was coming along and they just put a lot of individual. Gareth, I think, then tried to change it slightly to a team mentality and a team chemistry, and picking players that maybe wasn't in great form, but like Harry Maguire, but still picked him and still wanted him. Thomas has gone, right, this is a clean slate, everyone's got an opportunity, and you know, players that you think maybe 6 months ago wasn't in the equation have shown well and come in there, and he's stuck with them. So, you know, the Jude Bellingham situation, that may benefit England to give him a kick up the backside, that you're not a guarantee. Harry Kane looks like, for me, the best number 9 in the world at the moment. So as long as that continues of his development and how he's playing, you we've got players that have been there as well, and we've got young players that are exciting, and hopefully there'll be 3 or 4 Newcastle players out there as well. With big Dan Burns, Gordon, and we spoke about the fullbacks.
Dan Burns a big one. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah.
Out of anyone, and now that he's back, he can get back into the centre back position, which I think is where he needed to be to keep shining.
Yeah, the player. I was going to call him a kid, but he's an older player. But he'll play anywhere where he wants to. But he's a centre half, and we all know that. And I can't understand the fans that say, "Oh, we've got to do this, we've got to do." He's playing out of position, trying to help Hall, like I said earlier on, get fit, get some minutes, so he's ready to come in. And now hopefully Hall will play through the holiday period, play through Champions League, and that will now have a nice balance for Big Dan Burns to solidify his place. When he got the header in the Champions League, he was the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. But it's, that's going back to what I said. That's the club we play for. That's a high and low.
So you touched on being in the United States, and you touched on Inter Miami, which is an interesting topic to bring on to, because I believe your son Ty was with them, and he's under 6. Was it under 16s or under 19s?
He was in under 19s. He went there as under 19s. Then he signed 2 years with they call it MLS Next Pro, which is reserve team football. Okay. And he was training with the first team. And when Messi first training session, he was in Ty's little group to do the warm up. So and he's learning off of people like Suarez and Busquets and Jordi Alba. So it was a great time for him there. Obviously with Messi, you can only learn and a privilege. So I made a few.
I just stand there and admire.
I made a few excuses to my wife that Ty needed a bit of help, so I went out there to watch him. And one quick. I won't go on too much about it, but Ty said he was doing a little 5-a-side and you wasn't allowed to tackle Messi just in case. But he said, "Dad, I had him. I had him in the corner. Wasn't turning." I said, "I just sat back and went like that." And he said he bent around me. My goalkeeper's 6'5". He tried to reach it. He went in the stamp in the corner, right in the corner. And he said, "But I had him. I knew I had him." And then he bent it in the top corner. I said, "Well, you're playing against arguably the best player that's ever played the game."
That's some experience.
Great. And he had a little scuffle with Suarez, which was good, and Suarez loved it and said, "I like it." But now he come over to England. He had the opportunity at Barnsley, and that didn't work out. They led him along a little bit, but that's the nature of the business. He was there for 5 weeks. That didn't work out. And a good friend of ours, obviously Steve Watson's at Darlington. So Ty went down there for a training session, and Steve said, "I'll have him. I'll take him as a player." And he's there now. He's been playing. They're 4th in the league. He's learning, and he's great education for him to learn off of people like Steve Watson and one of the coaches as well, Terry, who's worked at Newcastle Academy, but also playing in that league and playing at Darlow now. I call it Darlow. So it's a great education for him. So he's gone from California to Miami, Suarez and Messi to Darlow. So he's loving it.
He's going to bring experience with that to them lot though. From what he's seen, he's still a great learning curve, but I'm not sure whether Messi could do it on a Tuesday night in Darlow. So I'm not sure about Stoke. So we'll wait and see. But a great education for him, and it's great to be around someone like Suarez. And when I was at Wimbledon growing up at 18, 19, Mick Hartford walked through the door, who was an England international, played at a high level. You pick off so many little things, but off of people like Suarez, Messi and Busquets, as I said to him, you've got to be a sponge and take everything on board. Perfect. Well, a couple more things and then we'll be able to wrap it up on that. Is obviously the Isak saga was a big thing in the summer. How do you think the Keegan squad would have dealt with that situation?
Well, I think you banging your fist would have been I can't imagine Lee Clark would have just suffered it. I can't imagine myself. I can't imagine Darren Peacock. I can't imagine David Bath. The list goes on. I think Les would have got up a little bit and said it, but the game has changed. It's totally different.
Yeah,
what was really upsetting for me is that a manager and a group of players in a football club had done everything they could for him, and then for him just to say down tools, regardless. And again, we hear different things. We don't know the whole facts about he was going to get so much money. I understand that. I understand it's a short career, but he's tarnished his legacy here because he was loved here.
Which is a big shame.
It's a big shame because he was a hell of a player. And Eddie, again, I spoke to him about it. They built a team around him because he was scoring goals and how he played. And Eddie, again, in 3 weeks, has had to try and handle the pressure of Champions League and also change a little bit of how we play with the big German. And we haven't got our record signing yet because he's still on the treatment table. So and losing someone like him. But yeah, it wouldn't have gone down too well. And I'm sure there would have been a few tackles flying around and let him know that that's not acceptable. And we've done that before with players. You know, KK would turn around and make sure he's having a cup of tea. Bobby did it with Laurent Robert. You know, Laurent come in and thought it was all this, and we sorted it out internally. And then he went on to be a legend.
That's how it should be, isn't it? Yeah.
And we didn't bully or tase or do anything like that. We just, like, you ain't messing around with this football club. It ain't a club to be messing around with. So don't do it. So, you know, and that was hard when the players, and that's how I felt for like a Bruno and a Trippier that, you know, had done everything for him, and then for him just to say, right, that's it, I'm off. But listen, he's gone. The soccer gods played their part a little bit because he had to suffer. So hopefully that continues a little bit longer, and Liverpool are suffering. So, you know, that's called karma.
Couldn't ask for more, really, could we?
Ask for more. No. Hopefully it goes on a few more years, and we go on and win a bit more silverware.
So tomorrow's game, Tottenham at home. You're going to the game. What's your prediction tomorrow?
I think we'll win. I think we've got a really good record, although, you know, they're much better away from home. He's under a lot of pressure. I mean, the players are getting booed at home, the goalkeeper's getting booed. He's got big decisions to make. It's easier to manage Brentford than it is Tottenham. So he's come into a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure. I just feel that us at home, the result against Man City, the result down at Everton was a great result. You know, the goals, the atmosphere is going to be electric. They're always great games. You know, I've scored. I got the. I mean, it shows you my record. Out of the 13 goals, I got the winner against them in a 1-0 win. We've beaten them 7-1 here when Keegan left the following 2 days afterwards. So there's always been good games. They're quite open, but I think we'll win the game. I wouldn't say comfortable, but a good 2-0 would be a nice result to send everybody home.
Yeah, very similar to what we got in the Carabao Cup. I think I was at that game, and it was just a very professional performance. Is the only way I could describe that.
And I think he'll change it. I think there will be, you know, players coming in, that healthy competition for players, and, you know, obviously there's no easy game, but St James's Park being at home, they're the ones you've got to win. They're the games that keep you in the top European spots going forward, and that's where we want to be at the end of it. Please God, we can compete for European football, lovely Champions League football, and also get to another final, which would be, you know, phenomenal. And if we could win another trophy, I might even come back from California in the summer and be on that parade, because it seems like I missed a bit of a night out on that one.
I landed back in the country 1 week before the parade.
Oh, wow.
So I just got here in time.
And you've just sobered up from that parade 10 months later on. So, but yeah, it was that would be great. And, you know, you need to get a good result at home. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm doing some work beforehand for the club, going into the boxes and seeing some people. I've loved it. I did some memory cafe for some of the people here, the foundation. So when I come back, I always try and do my bit for the people, because they was great to me and my family, and I never forgive them for that. It's the best time of my life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. I know you're very busy.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Guys, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this. Please leave your comments below. Take care. Bye-bye.